Alright, good morning everybody, or whatever time of day it is for you. Alright, after my last video, my very short video on BitChute, which I did not put up on YouTube, about my bike where I rebuilt the carburetor and it was running fine and everything else, I wanted to do this video today, about 3 days or so after I did that one, and hit on a couple of topics, two of which are my pet peeves. Number one being, why does it cost so much to do a repair? And the second one, that sometimes two unseemingly related things can cause a problem with the vehicle. So having said that, after I got the bike running, and you saw that in the other video, or you didn't, whatever the case may be, the bike was running great and everything. I knew the carburetor needed to be rebuilt because the accelerator pump was clogged up, and the bike had been sitting for 2 years with minor starts in between. And so I knew I had to do something about the fuel system. Took it apart, sure enough, the main jet, the idle jet, the accelerator pump, and blah, 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 was all clogged up and messed up with old fuel. So I did that and it worked out great. Now I put the bike away after about 4 startups and running and adjusting, and I rode it in the garage. So the next morning I come out, because the throttle cables didn't feel quite right. They were hanging up like a frayed cable thing, or, you know, I thought maybe I pinched the cable, and I thought, well, let me get out here and take a quick look, you know, see if I messed up anything. So I get out here, I pull the bike out, and sure enough, I've got a bad cable. Now, these cables are original, they're 26 years old. I do lube them on occasion, and, well, with the humidity out here and everything else, it got to them. So I figured, all right, let me go and order new cables, and I'll get to that job. In the meantime, the bike wouldn't start. It would fire for a second and then die right away, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I take the air cleaner back off, and the accelerator pump's shooting fuel and everything else. So I pull the codes. I figured, all right, let me see. No engine light, but I pull the code. And lo and behold, the code came up for a bank angle sensor. And now what that does is it basically, it's this little unit here, and there's a little ball in there, and what it does is when the bike goes to a certain angle, it cuts off the ignition so that, you know, it quits running if you fall down, basically. So I had one here. It's not a fairly common problem, but with the humidity and everything around here, things go bad. And I had one. It was a used one, but, you know, I had one. So I plugged it in, bike started fine, everything else. So I figured, all right, let me do the throttle cables. Now, getting to why this job costs so much. All right, here we go. You'd figured two throttle cables on a motorcycle would be no big deal. Well, here you go. This is what kind of work you have to go through. Removing the tank, the seat, the backrest, and getting in there. Here are the throttle cables, or at least the one is still in there, but I took the other one out to measure it. They run up through here and go up into the front end. Then they go into the fairing up here. And you see how much of this, everybody thinks that behind these fairings that there's just empty space. Now on the old bikes there wasn't anything. Maybe a radio, maybe, on the older fairings. On these you've got this rat's nest of wiring. Now of course with mine I've got the amplifier that adds to it, but nevertheless everything else is pretty much original. And the throttle cables go through right here, come down under, and then go back through the fairing out here, and then they go into the throttle grip, which all that has to be taken apart, and that's not a fun thing to do either. So when you consider how many hours just take it apart and put it together, well, that's why it costs so much. All right? The carburetor's doing fine itself. The throttle cable, just from sitting, I imagine, took a crap and or frayed before, and I didn't feel it. I was being very conscious about what I was doing here, putting it together. So I don't like to take a chance. If you on this bike, especially if you break a throttle cable, and it has dual cables, you know, one for pull and one for push, and if you break one, you're pretty much calling a wrecker or you know, a trailer or whatever. So I didn't want to take a chance, ordered new cables and so forth and so on. But here's the reason, like I said, why you've got to take all this stuff apart. And you know, it's not as simple running two cables. Now on a bike that's stripped down, you know, a regular plain Jane bike and everything, yeah, running throttle cables probably won't be that big of a deal. But you're talking a good half day or more, you know, of work here, of putting two lousy throttle cables in. Anyway, just wanted to hit on that topic and make a quick video on that. If you want to see the bike running or whatever, no big deal, it's on BitChute. And I'll post this on YouTube for God knows why or who. So that's all I've got to say, and everybody take care. Talk to you later.